Hey guys, BJ the Brave here, bringing you a new card reveal for the Beast Snagga expansion. We are literally days away now from experiencing the first ever expansion in the game of 40k Warpforge. We've had reinforcements, of course we've had new factions. This is something in between. We're talking about 32 cards, including 2 new Warlords that are going to be launching, along with a sort of month-long kind of battle pass type of event. If those of you are used to that from other CCGs, it will give you a focus through the month, lots of things to unlock and collect, whether you're playing free to play or paying for a premium pass. The real difference between the two is that it will speed up how quickly you're able to get access to these cards. If you want to head over to the web shop now on the warpforge.co.uk.com, so you will actually find the bundles and various packages, so you can see which one's right for you. Right, what I'm doing is bringing you a handful of new cards, including the legendary War Boss today. But first of all, 2 new additions to the game, 2 new rules that you need to be aware of. The first one is a new trait, and this trait is Stomp. Stomp says, when attacking, excess damage is dealt directly to a random enemy adjacent to the target. So this has lots of implications. For those of you who played Legends of Runeterra, it very much reminds me of Overwhelm, right? Real orky trait this. I really love it. It's going to enable some great beatdown things. So if you've got, by the example here, if you've got a 5 attacking troop, and you hit something that has 2 health, then that means there's 3 excess points of damage, and that'll be dealt to a random enemy adjacent to the troop. So for our opponents playing against Orks, you're going to need to think about your positioning now. Obviously this is a way of dealing with stealth units potentially if they get the positioning wrong, or if the stealth unit is next to, next to the unit you kill, sorry. But of course, the big one here is being able to constantly beat down the opponent's Warlord, right? Because you can clear a unit, and the excess damage can go ahead and deal damage to the Warlord. So we are looking at some serious beatdown potential if the cards are good. Next rule that we need to know about is a new troop type. And this troop type is Beast. We already have infantry, we have vehicles, we have all of these different types of troop types, but we've never had Beast before. So this is really important because a lot of the new cards are going to count as Beast. And one of the things about Beast is that a lot of the kind of special rules and synergies and cool things say only affect Beast cards. So that's why I'm showing you this. This is something you need to be aware of. It's not going to affect, for example, existing Ork infantry and vehicles. I don't know whether they're going to rework any existing Ork units to have the Beast archetype. That's possible. Stuff like that's even possible through things like balance patches, but I have no information about that. That's just me thinking about it, the potential of it. Alright, so with that said, guys, let's dive in and take a look at the cards. And starting with our new Warlord. There's not a tougher or more belligerent Ork than Mozrog Skragbad. I do struggle with these names. Skragbad. Should we say it 10 times together? Skragbad. Alright, now Skragbad, first of all, we have a legendary Warlord that has 40 health. Now, only Gazgul currently in the Ork pool has 40 health, so really interesting that we've now got a contender for that. I really like the 40 health Warlords in general. I do think it adds quite a big advantage in the game, so that's promising. Now, we can see that Skragbad automatically comes with Stomp, right? So without paying anything, without doing anything, he just automatically always has Stomp on. Well, you might say, BJ, you've got two attack. That means to get any excess damage, we'd have to kill something that has 1. Well, maybe, but also clearing things like Spirit Stones, Remnants from Necrons, right? That's going to mean that the Overwhelm, or Stomp, as I'm going to have to get used to calling it now, damage will still go through. But we are not finished there, because if we look at the Warlord talent, which says, the bigger day is, what does that do? Well, the bigger day is does, for 2 energy, it says deal 1 damage to an enemy. If the target survives, give +1 to your Warlord until next turn. So this is fantastic. You could think about Gordrang, or you could think about Belial, where for 2 energy, you essentially get 4 strength. The math kind of pars out at the same, right? You're dealing 1 damage, and then and then Skragbad is going to go up to 3 melee attack, right? So a total of 4 damage. But of course, it's really interesting, right? Because this is where we actually can do more excess in that because of the Stomp rule. So we can actually do a little bit more overwhelmed damage. So I really do think that Skragbad is just going to be such a great kind of beatdown warlord with this ability. Being able to deal 1 damage from the, to ping something, you know, that could remove a shield, or it could take like a 3 health unit down to 2, and then obviously you attack with your 3 melee, and now you do 1 stomp damage as well, right? So it's pretty cool actually. I'm quite interested to try this. I think it's quite a subtle one, but I think it's going to be quite significant. Not to mention, you could obviously deal 1 damage to 1 enemy, and you can, as long as that enemy doesn't die, you can still then attack a totally different unit with your Warlord. So it can lead to all sorts of nice synergies with, say, your flanking units. Like you might use the ping to remove a shield, then your veteran Stormboy comes on, removes that thing, and then Skragbad hits something else. So there's lots of different like subtle things that we're going to be able to do with Skragbad. So there we go, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think to Mozrog Skragbad for sure. If you're enjoying this so far, hit that thumbs up down below. Let's move on to the next card. Okay, next up, love the artwork on this card, guys. The artwork, this is straight away in my top 10 favorites, I think, for artwork. I really like it. Just that kind of like heroic pose, it's just brilliant. Anyway, Beast Snagga Knob. This is a 3-drop. It's a rare card. Yeah, rare card, so obviously we can have 2 of these. Now, it is 4 health, which is good. It's got the 4 melee and Stomp. Now, you're always going to need that, right? Wherever you've got Stomp, you're going to want high melee damage. Now, it has only got 1 range, which, again, in terms of, like, being traded with, that's a real weakness. But I think in this type of Stomp archetype, I think it is quite... It might be okay, because I think the 4 is important. Like, having that high attack, you're really looking at all... You're in all-out attack mode, really, with this type of archetype. It really reminds me of the kind of Freylord Noxus builds for any kind of Legends of Runeterra players. But anyway, at the end of your turn, it says give +1 to all beasts in your hand. So what I love about this card, and I really hope we're going to get more of this, by the way, it's hand buff. Again, any Nilfgaardian players out there from Gwent, right? Being able to buff your hand for future turns, absolutely love this. Just happens automatically at the end of your turn. You don't have to do anything. So your opponent is going to have to remove this card in their turn, otherwise it would go off again, and then you essentially would be getting +2 because it happens every turn. So I do like that it's almost like a soft vanguard as well. Your opponent's got to get rid of it. Granted, they're going to attack the range as we've already discussed, but still that is then taking away damage from other things. So for a 3-drop, I think this is a really interesting card, and I'm definitely going to be trying this out because I just love the hand buff idea, and honestly, one of my favorite things in Gwent. I'd love to see more of that kind of mechanic, more of those cards, please. Alright, next up we have got a 5-drop, a Squighog Boy. It's a common card, guys. We're all going to get this pretty easily and pretty standard. This is probably going up against things like the Snazwagon for competing for the 5-drop slot. Let me know in the comments which one you think is better. This says tied 2, similar to the Snaz Buggy, right? No, wait a minute. The Snazwagon is tied 1. So in other words, on 15, if we ever reached 15, or if we could reduce the cost of beasts, then we could obviously get 3 of these out. But most often than not, most games you're going to get 1 or 2 out, right? Anyway, what does it do? It says Stomp. Great, so with that big 6 melee damage and Stomp, that is really great. This thing can says rally if you control no other troops, gain flank, reminding us of that Tau. What's the Tau 7-drop unit that has the same thing? It's the same idea. So what this guy is a really good flanker for controlling the board, but continuing to not just kill the thing that it does, but to actually do that Stomp damage and continue the beat down to face. Obviously, if you do tied, the second one that comes on, if the Squighog Boy survives, if the first Squighog Boy survives, then the second one is not going to gain flank, so that's something you're going to have to bear in mind. However, if you kill your Squighog Boy on the flanking turn, then the second one would also gain flank as well. So you could kind of, I like the flexibility of this unit, right? Because that means that, say you're going up against something big like a Venom Crawler, you could actually easily do 12 damage, right, from 2 of them, because you kill off the Squighog Boy and the second one would gain flank. So again, I think this is pretty good. I think in a Stomp based deck I would run this over the Snazwagon, but let me know what you guys think in the comments, particularly about how those two cards compare. Alright, moving on. Next up, we have our first epic purple card, and again, we can have 2 copies. It's a stratagem, it costs 3 energy, it says deal 2 damage. The next beast that you play gains flank. Alright, so what are we saying here for 3 energy? Deal 2 damage to 3 is very, very bad. Like, we know that there's plenty of cards in this game that deal 3 damage for only 2 cost, right? So we're way, way down on value there. However, the next beast you play gains flank could be particularly powerful. So I would value the 2 damage at probably 1 energy. So the question is spending 2 to make a beast gain flank good enough? I'm not sure, you know. There's a lot of cards in this game that are 2 energy stratagems that give flank to a unit, and they are very rarely played. They're the kind of cards that new players get excited about at first, and then if you look at meta decks, they're very, very rarely played. Things like Crump the Gits is played, but Crump the Gits is not restricted to one particular unit type. It's essentially all troops, and also it's multiple units, whereas this is only saying the very next beast that you play gains flank. So I'm not sure. I do think just on a raw value level, I don't think it's worth it. However, the interplay between it dealing damage, which helps you kind of keep up with board, and then flank, that might work. I think it's definitely one that I would need to test in practice to see how good this is. But if I just look at it, yeah, like breaking down the value of it, it doesn't look as great to me. Okay, so there we go, guys. There are my cards. We have the Warlord, we have Snagga Knob, we have the Squighog Boy, and the hunt is on. Check out the content creator reveal schedule over on the Warpforge website. There are more cards being revealed. And yeah, looking forward to playing with the new Orks come this Friday. Take it easy, guys.